combination, just my Vice Chancellor, man. The unending war as a host parasite encourages actually the features of human survival. The unending war between infectious pathogens and humanity is a story of excellence, innovation, and enduring human spirit. It is a testament to the human capacity for scientific and technological advancement, and a constant reminder of the importance of collaboration, global solidarity in the face of a shared threat. The war, while the battle lines may shift, our commitment to protecting health and fighting for a future free from infectious diseases must remain unwavering. The war between microbes and man is dynamic and complex, with both sides continually evolving new strategies for survival. Therefore, understanding the role of the host-pathogen relationship in disease occurrence is crucial for effective strategic intervention. My contributions to knowledge. Vice Chancellor, my research contributions span 3 decades, and it has categorized as shown in figure 15. First one, Mudway, research on the diagnosis of typhoid fever and salmonella-associated diseases and paragenic pathogens. It is important to note that in Nigeria, fever, another salmonella infection, often mimic malaria and endemic disease. Thus, definitive diagnosis of this infection of this disease remains laborious. 7 pivotal studies conducted through 1998 to 2021 have enveloped some of the diagnostic challenges and paving the way for the present analysis. In Nigeria, enteropathogenic Escherichia coli, otherwise known as IPEC, has been known to be cause of acute bacterial diarrhea disease, with no report of other strains of Escherichia coli implicated. I conducted the first comprehensive mapping and of diarrhenic Escherichia coli in Nigeria in 1997. And the study revealed enteropathogenic Escherichia coli (EPE) found in 49.2% of all the diarrhea cases. And in this case, EPE, particularly serotype 055, was the most discovered in Nigeria. That was the first one that was discovered in this country. I did not stop there. I went further to apply London amplified polymorphic DNA (RAPD) typing method on 63 recalcitrant Salmonella enterica that are multiple drug resistant (MDR). Specifically, 77% discriminating power among the serotypes was actually recorded. This study established that RAPD is a rapid, cost-effective tool for local epidemiologic surveillance of salmonella strains in Nigeria. The challenge of discriminating closely related bacterial pathogen lineages have been resolved by whole genomic sequencing and bioinformatics pipeline. We applied this method on non-typhoidal Salmonella enterica for the first time in Nigeria under one health perspective. The study revealed 6 different serotypes, with serotype Contem and serotype GIF being the most prevalent strains. And in silico serotype prediction with Sexaro in comparison with the serotyping scheme, pass the pass Q threshold, with QS status indicating pass for 5 serotypes, except for serotype, Salmonella serotype Mokola. This result represents the first complete mixed sequence of Salmonella Mokola seroba deposited in global Salmonella database from any part of the world, and that one was published in 2020. Research on vaccine, on vehicle transmissions and preventive strategy of some bacterial pathogens. My Vice Chancellor, despite persistent rise in food and waterborne diseases, lack of data on contaminations in drinking water sources has hindered understanding of disease environmental origin. On this premise, I address the gap by identifying endemic bacterial pathogens in both well and tap water across Lagos. And the results reveal contamination in tap water from leaking pipes, as shown in the hotel. The study highlighted a critical public health risk and the need for improved water quality monitoring and infrastructure maintenance to mitigate waterborne diseases. And that was published in 2006. The surge of mobile phones into Nigerian market in the early 2000s has made them indispensable. We all have it with us now, professionally and socially, and are frequently used in environments of bacterial presence, such as for spill, slaughterhouses, and restrooms. And this actually raised concern to some of us working in the areas of public health. Then we therefore assess the bacterial presence on 400 devices from different groups indicated: food vendor, lecturers, public servants, healthcare workers, etc., etc. And it was found out that their phones were grossly contaminated with coagulase negative staphylococcus aureus, etc., etc. And we now concluded that the use of antibacterial wipes and strict adherence to infection control to mitigate foam-mediated pathogen transmission is very, very crucial. And that has actually led to the reduction in cycle of the way we handle food across the country. And that article was the first to be published in many African countries. And it is the second most cited article. The problem associated with the consumption of both sides infected foods considered arising from traditional processing, packaging, improper handling, and poor hygienic practices. We therefore conducted the vended food as are sold in Lagos, and the result revealed gross contamination of some of these vended food. Particularly, we isolated E. coli, Salmonella typhimurium, etc., from salad and some other and jollof rice. We concluded that stringent surveillance and hygiene regulation in informal food sector is essential to prevent foodborne disease outbreak. Now we can see that we now have ShopRite everywhere that actually, reduce such kind of distance. Some people, even they want to eat, they go to ShopRite or order for all of it, rather than going to the roadsides and eat that are. Also, to address the upsurge of fever and other waterborne diseases in the late 90s, we assessed solar radiation on Salmonella typhi for water disinfection for the first time in Nigeria. The suspension of Salmonella typhi in metal basin and glass bottles covered with transparent polythene were exposed to sunlight between the 10:30 and 1:30. The result indicated that intensity rather than temperature was actually has great effect on the salmonella, and we therefore concluded that 3-hour solar exposure in transparent container effectively renders salmonella typhi contaminated water safe for consumption. And today, you see those people that are having sachet water, after they have produced it, they expose it in sunlight between the 10:30 and 1:30, and you bring it out. Any salmonella strain that will be there will definitely be killed. Section C, that is Module C. Research on burden of typhoid fever and salmonella-associated disease in Lagos, Nigeria. Over the years, reliable epidemiological data needed to estimate the burden of salmonella-associated diseases in Lagos have become obscure because most of the public hospitals in Lagos are finding it difficult to make data available. Therefore, a population-based retrospective cohort study of laboratory confirmed salmonella infection spanning over a decade across 14 hospitals, public hospitals in Lagos was conducted. The study revealed 85,184 salmonella-associated disease cases and 880 deaths. And salmonella-associated disease SAD was found to be predominant in the age 21 to 30 years. This is the first policy-based study on salmonella-associated disease in Africa. A need for proactive intervention by policymakers was actually advocated. And I can say today that that project that we conducted actually paved the way for a global salmonella typhi that also came on board in 2016 when they invited me from Bill and Melinda Gates and from CKIT in Canada. And what happened? That was the next one. In order to characterize salmonella typhi positivity trend and contextual determinants in Nigeria, we performed retrospective cohort study from 2 hospitals in Lagos, supplemented by records from 7 facilities in Abuja and 3 from Kano. And at the end of the day, we found out that 80% of them documented in Lagos are multiple drug resistance. And contextual factors, such as female literacy, access to water supply, diarrhea mobility in children younger than 5 years old, GDP, poverty, all these were found to come down. While access to improved sanitation facility, because over time nationally. We therefore suggested and concluded that a combined approach involving the use of typhoid vaccine, improved sanitation, and safe water supply should actually be in our mind. Furthermore, concerning the endemicity of salmonellosis and scarce cultural data, I conducted systematic review between 1999 and 2018. And at the end of the day, we find out that 53 different serotypes of salmonella actually prevail in our country. And of the 53 serotypes, only 2, salmonella enterica epimurium and enteritidis, are the most prevalent. And HIV and malnutrition were identified as the key factors. Hence, a need for serotype target surveillance and control as suggested. Section B, that's multi-poolant, research on multi-poolant and antibiotics, as well as survival strategy for both human and animal colonies. The global spread of anti-resistance undermines treatment efficacy. This has led to therapeutic failure longer hospital stays. Consequently, several mechanisms such as production of beta-lactamases, as I've said, efflux pump as mechanism, target site filtration, as already said before, all these, as well as reduction in the permeability, has been responsible for the therapeutic failure because these organisms keep on producing these enzymes. We have arising from this. I analyzed blood culture of 635 clinically diagnosed typhoid fever patients across 3 Lagos facilities between May 1997 and 1998. And of them, all S-typhoid, that is Salmonella typhimurium and S. parasitis, were sent to the world, multiple drug resistant. Because they resisted the first-line antibiotic, which include Phenergon, penicillin, cotrimoxazole, and therefore they are referred to as well multiple drug resistant, MDR. However, efficacy of ofloxacin and ciprofloxacin was found to be 100% at that time. We therefore concluded that emergence of MDR, S-typhoid, and S-parasitis to the first line of antibiotics led to the conclusion that there should be a shift from the first line of antibiotics to the use of what? Fluoroquinolone, which is ofloxacin and ciprofloxacin. And due to the rising typhoid cases and empirical treatment failure, amidst scans and antimicrobial susceptibility data in early 20, I further assessed the prevalent and resistant profile of 16.2% of Salmonella typhi isolated from 74 patients with pyrexia of unknown origin. And the results indicated that about 61% of them were MDR at varying concentration. The result provided an early warning signal for the prudent use of fluoroquinolone. Before we told them, we said that first line should not be, because they have been compromised. Now, shift to fluoroquinolone. The fluoroquinolone now, we are having some issues because of resistance. Okay. The result provides an early warning signal for that. And to assess the early warning signal that was suggested there in the early 2000s, which the work was published in 2005, I investigated 235 febrile patients between October 2004 and 2005 from different health facilities in Lagos. And we find out that Plasmodium falciparum associated co-infected with Salmonella was on the rise. The result revealed for the first time in Nigeria that 10 to 80% of the Salmonella were actually becoming resistant to ciprofloxacin and ofloxacin. It was concluded that ciprofloxacin and ofloxacin should be prescribed only in laboratory-proven cases of typhoid fever and Salmonella-associated bacteremia to preserve its efficacy. In a follow-up study, we also conducted retrospective cohort study. In this case, from Central Public Health Laboratory, which is now the NCDC. And interestingly, it was observed that reduced susceptibility to ciprofloxacin and ofloxacin and Salmonella typhimurium corroborated our earlier study on prospective study that was conducted. So in this case, that means it's actually, justify such, resistant development. Furthermore, the carriage of enterotoxin gene among antibiotic-resistant Salmonella isolates recovered from 200 drinking water samples were investigated, and over 60% of these isolates harbor these virulent genes that the organism used to cause havoc in our system. Arising from the third generation of cephalosporin, now antibiotic treatment failure. Immediately, there was increase in the resistance to ciprofloxacin. Introduction of third generation cephalosporin, cephalosporin, ceftriaxone, cefotaxime, cefoperazone were introduced. And at the end of the day, we found out that we tried to look at the complaint of treatment failure in some quarters. And we investigated ESBL production due to the plasticity M gene cluster. And Salmonella isolated from 158 hospital patients in Lagos. And it was found out that These isolates actually harbor plasmid DNA that enable them to, encode that particular gene, which now culminates in the beta-lactamase production. Between 2014 and 2015, stock conscious of multiple drug NDR clinical isolates were further examined for extended spectrum beta-lactamase production and AMC beta-lactamase. And results indicated that 300 BP MC Fox gene occurred in 40% of the cells that were isolated. And plasmid mediated AMC occurred and were detected in 10 to 15% of these. And this was the first report of AMC beta-lactamase producing salmonella species in Nigeria and was published in the Drug Resistance. So highlighting the risk and urgent need for enhanced surveillance and antimicrobial stewardship. I also documented 27 salmonella isolates in another study conducted on one sample. The study revealed that 82.7% of them harbor plasmid DNA, which is a sarcomosomal DNA that I feel. It was concluded that plasmid analysis as a tool for tracing epidemiologic link in salmonella enterica serovirus remains sacrosanct. Vice Chancellor, my research in LASU, my molecular investigation has always been conducted outside LASU because of them. However, based on the Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung equipment grants that I received, I established for the first time in LASU molecular laboratory in the Department of Microbiology, Faculty of Science, where an investigation into the virulent gene markers and beta-lactamase encoded genes of Salmonella enterica were conducted. And for the first time, Salmonella enterica carrying the CTMS variants in cases of pyogenes of unknown origin, mostly from children, were observed. And we concluded that the emergence of VSBA producing Salmonella enterica underscored the need for molecular surveillance and prudent use of beta-lactamase such as carbapenem, antibiotics, imipenem, meropenem, etc. All these, in summary, these studies collectively map the tragedies of NDR salmonella in Lagos, revealing the alarming rise in resistance motivated by plasmid and extended spectrum beta-lactamase enzyme. Environmental contamination, complex technology involving multiple serotype resistant genes. The data call for investigative public health strategy, emphasizing surveillance, national antibiotics, water, and sanitation, as well as molecular epidemiology to curb the spread and impact of resistant salmonella strain in Nigeria. Non-antibiotic treatment strategy. Research on alternatives to antimicrobial resistant treatment. The traditional medical practitioner has consistently laid a claim of efficacy in 6 medicinal plants as shown there. And I investigated and identified further activities of aqueous and ethanol extract of this time. And we find out that the findings substantiate the traditional use of this plant, that is Staminella zoonoides, Homodica bastamina, Trema guinensis, etc., as antibacterial, as having antibacterial property. In the early 2000s, traditional medical practitioners also laid claim of efficacy without substantial, evidence. And we investigated 6 medicinal plants against penicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus that are causing several diseases. And at the end of the day, the result validated the traditional claim of efficacy of the active botanica of the Philanthus cordis, Osimo gratissimum, and therefore, we now suggested that this medicinal plants should actually be used at appropriate within appropriate context when other activities are actually being done by other experts. And we also suggested the discontinued use of P-fermentation. This research was published in BMC Complementary Medicine and remained the most cited article in Lagos State University today. No article has been cited just like this article in the whole Lagos State University. You can go and check. I also investigated the antimicrobial activities of agents and members of other researchers against waterborne pathogens. And at the end of the day, we find out this medicinal plant, particularly the bills, retentions, as well as the alata, are active against the foodborne bacterial pathogen. The study analyzed the potentials of health depression on antiplasmidic agents for combating resistant enterobacterial infection. Collectively, these studies established a scientific foundation for traditional use of selected Nigerian medicinal plants in combating multiple drug-resistant infections. The identification of both direct antibacterial effects and plasmid properties is promising for drug development and therapies targeting the prevalence and repair pathogens in Nigeria and in both clinical and community settings. My teaching contributions has already been highlighted. I've supervised over 350 students, 83 postgraduates, and 4 PhD students. As a junior leader, contribution as a junior leader, and also just as read in my citation. So I was advocated for classroom infrastructure upgrades, actualization of the same by the Lagos State University. I also ensure peaceful resolution of impasse and the call of fact lecturer from Epe campus, 6 from Epe campus, 2 from Ojo campus, and of course, 172 dismissed students. Also, all the buildings, among others, were approved as products of our collective struggle during the administration of former governor, Babatunde Raji Fashola-San. And kudos to all other successive governors who have actually taken their time to complete all the projects. The projects supposed to have been displayed by the media. I also supervised over 4 PhD students, and as a member of management, that one has already been captured. And for national contribution, that one has also been captured, as seen in the booklet. So, and as international collaboration, that has also been captured in the booklet here. And future research direction. Genomic surveillance of SKP pathogens from One Health perspective by integrating multi-local sequencing type is very, very essential. Field evaluation of typhoid conjugate vaccine, TTV, is also very, very important. Development and validation of rapid context-appropriate diagnostic kits by adopting novel strategies and climate health modeling and pathogens to forecast the hotspots and guide adaptive public health is also very, very germane. Recommendations. Periodic review of antimicrobial agents used in hospitals and clinics is essential, given the rapidity spreading of plasmid encoding multiple drug resistance in bacteria. A national health policy that will encourage research and the use of novel antimicrobial natural products from plants must be formulated, implemented, and sustained. The need for general overhaul of education system to make every program in university professional based and encourage cross-interrelated discipline professional certification. The National University Commission, NUC, should mandate university to, as part of the accreditation criteria, to set aside 5 to 10% of their annual budget as seed fund for commercially valuable, innovative research. National Genomic Database and Nigeria Bacterial Culture Typing Center should be established as precursor for production of diagnostic kits antimicrobial drug formulation, vaccine production against emerging and re-emerging diseases, and product improvement in industry in Nigeria. The need for constant training of young scholars and train-the-trainer policy on technological innovation for national growth and sustainable development is a issue. In conclusion, this lecture revealed widespread environmental contamination, point of care diagnosis, transmission pathway of salmonella and bacterial enteropathogens that exhibited multiple antibiotic resistant mechanisms from plasmids to ESDS and AMC. It also validated some indigenous medicinal plants as promising alternatives to growing, emerging, and re-emerging multiple drug pathogens. This effort shaped policy, infrastructure, public health strategies in Nigeria. Our work with microbes is perpetual, and the future depends on research and innovation capacity building for young researchers. Therefore, the need for standard genomic surveillance, establishment of NCTC, vaccine rollout, diagnostics, water disinfection, and climate health modeling will bring a balance towards coexistence and resilience between humans and its. My gratitude to God Almighty for His grace and mercy. My parents, late Prince Lamidi Yolalile Akinyemi, alias Chancellor, and alias July, a blessed memory. And of course, my late mother, Princess Sanata Abisoyu Akinyemi Autugachi, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be live and rise up to this level. My aunt, Alaja Belola Oyefod ni Autugachi. My sibling, Prince Saliu Adekule Akinyemi. Father, I thank you very much for your assistance throughout my academic career in life. Adedeji Safiriyu Akinyemi. Thank you very much. Dr. Latif Adesola Akinyemi. I also appreciate you for your assistance. My family members and friends, my deep appreciation to my half brothers who are here. I can see all of you here. I thank you very much for honoring this call. My nephew, friends, for their support, as well as Alaji Kabiru. I thank you very much. My in-laws who are here, from Epe and from Igbogo, I thank you very much for honoring this and for giving me beautiful wives. My loving parents in-laws, also from Igbogo, I also thank you and all from Epe. Extended family, Dr. Afis and Alaja Kafayat Ajasa, I so much appreciate you for your support and for always keep in touch at every point. Community and traditional leaders here present. Kabiru, okay. You look for all the here. You Olusegun, Olusegun, the Aremba Bibire. You are here. I thank you very much for honoring this. The Kuti family from Ikorodu, also as the royal father from different parts of Lagos who are present here, and the chiefs. I thank you. Anyway. Colleagues, the university leadership, management, vice chancellors of this university, I thank you very much for your unwavering support. And the management team, you have done wonderful things in the recent time. I thank you very much for this. Colleagues, unions and presidents of bodies, I also appreciate your support, particularly the union during the struggle. I use this opportunity that during the struggle, I might have hurt one or two people either individually or collectively, or even in the government circle or what have you. Seize this opportunity that the struggle was not Akinyemi case only, it was a collective struggle, and it was not intended to undermine any structure. It was the development of this university. Therefore, if I have offended the one of her, I apologize for that. My department, Professor Nuruddin Olasipo, I know you are around. I appreciate you for your time and support. Professor Sana Bakri, for giving me, for two of you are my lecturer. I appreciate you significantly for contribution in spite of whatever may happen in the system. I thank you straight for your listening. Other professors in the Department of Microbiology, I thank you very much. My Dean, Faculty of Science, I appreciate you, and all other members of the faculty. The professional society, I also appreciate you significantly. The administrative, technical, and event staff are also available. Permit me at this juncture to acknowledge the presence of the past vice chancellors who are here. Professor John Obapuwa, I recognize you. And the members of the Kabiru Resource Group, led by Architect Kara, I also acknowledge your presence. The Honorable, the former ministers of, I also appreciate you, sir. That's Prince Olusegun, Seye Ogunlewe, Seye Ogunlewe, I think. Bibire, Honorable Bibire, I appreciate you. And all other members, my Egbon, I appreciate all of you for listening. Our Honorable from Ikeje, Ikorodu constituency 2, Ama, alias Ama, you are highly recognized, sir, and for your support. And Asipa, I also recognize you for your order. So, all other members, the chiefs, and all other members that I could not mention here, including Professor T.K. Obidairo, sir, I recognize your presence. And my uncle, Professor Folatayo, I know you are here. I appreciate all of you too. All of them, my schoolmates, my classmates, undergraduates and postgraduates, I also appreciate all of you. My children, can you please stand up for recognition? Architect Afis, you are a barrister or lawyer, Mujat Okpeyemi, Abdulhamid, Nuruddin, Muiz, and Kafaya. I appreciate all of you for giving me this. I know there are so many other people here that I cannot mention, including my friends here and there. Time does not permit me. You see, they have already given it. I know I've spent more than $100, but I have to use it. So forgive me if I don't mention your name. On that basis, my nuclear family, my beautiful wife, Mosida, Alaba, Adeleki, Akinyemi, and Adeton, Taiwo, Olusegun, Akinyemi. Both of you from Epe, Igbobo, and Imota in the middle. You can use Epe, Igbobo, Imota in the middle. I appreciate you. You can see, for putting my temper, for giving me the time. Many people normally say they have better half. I don't have better half. I have what we call full cold. Thank you very much. On that basis, for all other names that I have not mentioned, I say thank you. Encouragement, counsel, and friendship have been indispensable. Vice Chancellor, this is my inaugural. Friend.
Professor Kabiru, Olusegun, Akinyemi. In his decade of research, uncovered the molecular patterns of salmonella transmission and resistance, identified and ampicillin producing strains with key resistance genes. Professor Akinyemi's quest is to find a possible alternative to orthodox medicine by highlighting antiplasmic agents for combating resistant enteric bacterial infections. His studies have helped to establish a scientific foundation for the traditional use of Nigerian medicinal plants in combating multiple drug resistance bacterial infection. Professor Akinyemi, the 112th edition of our inaugural lecture, he is the lecturer, sorry. I welcome you to the body of professors in Lagos State University, and now you are a bona fide member of the Senate. Congratulations.
Please, let's remain standing as we allow the academic procession to take it all to reverse order. Let's remain standing as we allow the academic procession to lead the all in reverse order. That has been the success story of Professor Kabiru, Olusegun, Akinyemi, the 112th inaugural lecturer of Lagos State University. Congratulations. Congratulations to the Faculty of Science. Congratulations to all the members of the management, the deans of faculties.